Hi, James Lee Jobe here. Glad to have you with me. This is a weekly poetry reading series that I do for the city of Davis, California, where I'm the poet laureate. But you're welcome to listen along wherever you're at. These are all my poems today. I don't always do that, but I haven't for a while, so I am. This is a poem about beginnings, so it's a good one to start with. This is a very short telling of the story of the birth of my son Will. A son was born, and so they handed him to me. I whispered his name in his ear. I did. I wanted it to be the first words he ever heard in this life, his own name. William, you are William. I told him that. The lights in the room were harsh and bright. His mother was sedated. His birth was an emergency surgery. He was frightened, so I added, "It isn't always like this. Sometimes it's beautiful, you'll see. Your life has begun." It was the best I could do, to let him start out by knowing who he was, then that there is beauty out there, but that he might have to go and look for it. And so it is. Here's a couple dog poems. It's the Zen dog moon. The thunder moon to some, the buck moon to others. Still, more people have other names for the full moon of July. Yellow light on the pines, people in the park watching, their faces aimed up at the light. Those are my neighbors. An old black dog wanders by, unconcerned, not looking up at all. Far away, the master asks the student, "Why does the dog have perfect Buddha nature?" It's because the dog doesn't care if he has Buddha nature or not. And another dog poem here. This is a very brief dog poem. The dog looks up hopefully as I pass. He can tell that I know something, and I do. He knows something too. He wags. I keep walking. Neither one of us is talking. This poem, I have no idea why I wrote this poem. I write a poem a day, every single day. I have for many years. So there's thousands of the damn things, and I don't always remember what got me started on a poem. Some I like and I keep. I edit them all, whether I keep them or not. Some I'd edit and put away. These rags are too big for me to wear. No, wait, they're too small. Those things I was meant to learn, I have not learned them. Is that true? He asked. No, I learned it all. But I was foolish anyway, careless. And all the people that I should have loved, I did not love them. I don't believe that, he said. Well, yes, I loved them, but I loved others too, strangers. And it all got complicated. I loved things, ideals, not just people, things. I loved the darkness that is so quiet before the first hint of dawn. And music, I really loved the music. And the way the chest of a bird moves when it's in flight. Yes, I loved breath. It's all right to love a lot of things, he said. All love is allowed. And then he looked down, away from me. And I pulled the rags closer around me. And it was cold when I turned to walk away. I wrote this also a number of years ago. And a couple of references in it may make it sound like I'm talking about COVID-19. And I do have some COVID-19 poems that I'm not reading today, but this predates COVID by a number of years. This is literally about a dream, as a number of my poems are. In this dream, the sick flowers are coughing blood on the feet of the nurses. Here the river's charging down the side of the rusted mountain, washing the low places before it. Sinatra is singing something about the supernova of yet another dwarf star. Here there is no calendar, no clock, no schedule. No fences to hold back the feet of time. No need to exhale, only to inhale. In this dream, the sick flowers are dropping to the emergency room floor. A code has been called, but no one is answering it. The river has washed away the blood, and the nurses have turned away, and one by one have begun to climb the mountain. The boy with the sad face of the spent sky. The jewel of time crushed to dust and wasted in the spending. War long and hideous. The green trees full of the missing limbs of the soldiers. The green trees full of the corpses of the villagers. The thick river of dust, where's the water gone? The river of blood, red and rich, and the bleeding wounds of the workers. The wealthy, fat from drinking the workers' blood. The clocks have all stopped at noon, and the whistle will never blow again. The boy with the broken back, trashed from long labors. The boy with the tears of fire and suffering. The boy with the sad face of the spent sky. The boy with the sad face of the spent sky. I had one poem about the birth of my son. This is a little bit more about when I lost him. The slow walk to the gravesite. Here is the drum we beat on the slow walk to the gravesite. And here are the clouds that have no silver linings, clouds that gray the sky, clouds that whisper to us, one day it'll be your turn. You'll never know when. These are our footprints in dirt. They are silent, and so are we, heavy with the weight of all the things we failed to do, the promises where we fell short. Here's the drum we beat on the slow walk to the gravesite. Boom, 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 like a heartbeat that is missing. And here's the casket that holds your corpse, a simple box of wood and nails, hammered shut while we all watched. This is the hole we've dug for you. This is the dirt that will cover you. In just a few more moments, after the words are spoken, a man in black holds up the book. People are weeping. Here is the drum we beat on the slow walk to the gravesite. This is the air we breathe. This is the shadow that covers us. This is the grief we will bear like a debt, like a sin without forgiveness, like a dawn without any hope at all. Here is the drum we beat on the slow walk to the gravesite. Here is the drum we beat on the slow walk to the gravesite. Dear child, how can we ever truly let you go? This is a very literal dream I had about 12 years ago. When I awoke, I was no longer at home. I was on a train from some earlier era, which was crowded with people who spoke some other language. Only one man spoke the same language as me, and he told me this: our hearts are enclosed by a larger heart that belongs to us all. The train stopped. It was night, and we were not at a station, but high in some snowy mountains. I got off there. I was alone, and the wind was hard and bitter. I walked away from the tracks, uphill, wading through deep drifts of snow. I had never been so cold or felt so alone, and I began to weep, and my tears froze on my skin. I felt weary, as if I had not slept for days, and I began to nod off, even as I walked. When I next woke, I was in my father's house, in the bed where I slept as a boy. My father, dead for many years, opened the door to my room without knocking, and I could see that he was drunk. He looked at me for a long moment, and he said this: "See how the hero sleeps in mountains of courage." Then I woke for real in my own bed, in my own home, and I felt ashamed. Although I did not know how, I knew in my heart I had failed again. You are digging a hole in the hard, dry ground. The work is slow. You struggle. No matter how hard you work, the hole only barely grows. Just a little at a time. You sweat and curse, you're tired, and your back aches. The neighbors are gathering at the fence. Why are you digging? Are things all right? Do you need some help? After several hours, the crowd is huge, and the hole finally large enough for you to enter. You go down, closing the earth behind you like a door. Now it's quiet. The sounds of the people watching have been silenced. You can hear your own breath. Reaching out, you find that the earth is quite cool to the touch, and that the darkness is a blessing. The mad blue of your fire, the harsh sound of steel on steel when the guard slams your cell door shut. That eternal youth that hides behind your aches and your gray hair and your heart attack and your stroke and your wrinkles of time. Your fear of failure and your even greater fear of success. The Prague of your mind and the Berlin of your soul. The Istanbul you dreamed of, didn't deserve, and buried under rocks, under shadows, under the cruel winds of February, under the mad blue of your fire. You were alone after your birth and alone after your death. Your parents were pages from a book you did not finish reading. They were the dogs that ran through traffic, through the hardness that you failed to earn, the softness that left you weak and foolish. But there is still time. The hand hasn't reached out for you yet. Cast off the ragged bowline and push away from the rotting dock. Let the current take your craft away downstream, where you can light a white candle whose flame has hope, the mad blue of your fire. Where you can sit in the galley and finally eat the meal that has been waiting for you all of these years. Claim the life that has been yours all along, your own soul, your own course charted by no one else but you and the mad blue of your fire, the mad blue of your fire. Just let go of the weight that has been holding you down. This is a very short poem, very short. My drunken father, whose heart was so full of hate, so full of anger, what did you think when you opened your eyes to see heaven anyway? My father was an alcoholic, and it has a lot to do with who I am, his alcoholism. I am the adult child of an alcoholic. This is a little more hopeful here. We were lighting candles for people that we love. My wife, our granddaughter, and myself. My wife and I lit candles for our late parents and wished them peace. Our granddaughter, Khaleesi Luna, wanted to go next. Who do you want to light the candle for? Uncle Ted. And what do you wish for Uncle Ted? Christmas. I wish him Christmas. Oh, how tender life can be. How special it is. How joy can slip into your life on a whim or in the heart of a child. And the child knows how to love. How to share love for someone in the family, someone she doesn't get to see that much, but loves anyway, and keeps a good thought for him, a wish. Christmas. Uncle Ted, by the way, is a beautiful soul. Blessed, blessed, blessed. Now bury the dead while the soil is weak and the grief is strong, to shovel them under and to say the words of God in heaven and life everlasting, world without end. Amen. Now to dream and hope and plan and pray and work and build and do and be. Now to breathe the cool air of quiet midnight under the bone moon, the sound of darkness, the pull of emptiness, the power of being alive and alone, the power of still feeling the strength of the machine inside the body. Now to love someone, anyone, everyone, to embrace another soul, another body, to speak and to listen, to hold and to be held, to share it all, every lasting thing, the day, the night, the slow years and the fast ones, to grow, to become more fully yourself while accepting the difference of each other. Now to speak the brazen truth, to stand tall in the face of the blatant lies and the cruel hatred, and to say no as fiercely and as severely as your bravest yes. to cast down the liars and the fast talkers, the deniers, to refuse to back down to that which is false or evil. Now to wade out into the river, to let the current take you, to just relax and go limp, to go under to another world, a water world, life, death, suffering, release, bliss, to float and be free, the darkness first, and then the light, to climb out onto the muddy bank and hold your arms up to the sky and give thanks, to praise, to be fully present in this body and on this earth, all while still wet and dripping. Now to close your eyes and let your soul rise up from your body, up through the sky, up through the clouds, out into space, and through the Milky Way, to let your soul move on to other dimensions where you are the light and the light is you, free, true. That jar half filled with screws and nuts and bolts that I keep in the garage, I swear I've had the damn thing since 2 houses ago. If we move, I just move it right along with us. It doesn't get a lot of use. I can't even remember when exactly I used it for a screw or a nut or a bolt. Usually I just go down to the hardware store and buy some more. If I had 3 or 4 items and used 2 from it, well, that's been an active year. Some years it isn't touched at all. They say if you don't use something for a year, hell, you don't need it. Let it go. But when I look at it and see that wheel nut from my rally road bike from the 1980s, or the screw that came out of the bottom of the toaster that I broke when we lived in San Francisco, or an angled piece of metal that I don't know what it is or where it came from, but it's been in there for 25 years, and somehow I don't want to toss it out. These little bits of metal tie me to objects and times long ago that were slices of my life or my children's lives, little artifacts. And I put the jar back on the shelf and go back inside the house. It doesn't take up that much space, I tell myself. Hardly any space at all. The rain is that friend that you left behind. The walls are there to console you when your eyes have nothing left to give, even when your eyes are empty. The tears remind you that you are still human, that you have not yet turned to stone. The floor is there to show you the meaning of strength, and outside the mud will cool your feet as you walk. The laughter is God tickling your soul with a feather. The children are joy made into flesh. Be sure and treat them that way. Tomorrow is today, which is why today is not yesterday. You need to let yesterday go. The rain is that friend that you left behind. Every drop is love, catching back up to you. Slice the onion in half, and on each half place an opal. Light the sage, fan the smoke over your body. Open your third eye. Autumn is here with fine colors. Slowly, 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 begin the chant. Namaste, Luna, Luna, Solar. Repeat it, loud at first, then gradually softer. Chant until the words become sounds without meaning, just sounds. Then raise the onion halves to heaven, one in each hand. That's about ritual, I think. Ritual is important in a life. They are carrying me away, not to bury me, but to crown me king. The carriage is high, wide, and handsome, polished wood with leather and brass. People line the streets and sing, but I cannot quite make out the words. Have I been here before? Things seem familiar and yet not familiar at the same time. The streets, cobblestone. The sky, perfectly blue. I feel relaxed. More relaxed than I have ever been. In fact, it feels almost unnatural. Perhaps they are going to bury me after all. This is a movie set. Nothing is real. These wounds, they're just make-up, special effects, gratuitous. Now, in this scene, the leading lady and the leading man finally realize their love after years of not actually even liking each other very much. We are mice with amputated tails, bleeding on the white rug. Being mice, we don't have any lines. Our ridiculous mutilation is just a subplot, so no one really cares. The director calls for silence. The stage lights dim. The leading man staggers toward the leading lady and takes her in his hairy arms. We just bleed and stand there blinking, like damn fools. I mentioned losing my son 3 years ago. This was a poem I read for his memorial service. I wrote it for his memorial service, and I read it there. And I waited 3 years to do the second draft. It's hard for me to get through. But I think it's a strong poem, and I love my son. So this is for William Lee Jobe. May your stolen youth be infinite and blessed by kindness. May you ride the escalator up into the unbroken light beams of a newly risen sun. May your soul itself be unbroken and held by the beauty of the stars. And if there are no souls, may it be your memory that is so blessed by the stars. May you never again know sickness or sorrow or loneliness, never again through the long night of eternity. May those years that you did not get to live be gifted to someone who needs them, some person struggling to live. May you be followed by my love into the next world, the next life. And if there is no next world, no next life, may my love follow you into the darkness. I'm getting older. I'll be 64 in November, and my hearing is weakening, and they tell me it's going to continue to weaken, and if I live to be an old enough man, I will go deaf. Which is, well, they say likely. I don't think they ever actually say, anyway. I combine that with the idea of that our ears keep growing as we get older. Our ears and our nose, they both get a little bigger as we age. So, hence this poem. Do our ears keep growing as we age? Seems so. How is it that a thing gets larger and yet is weaker? The silence, is taking me. It's a steady silence. Oh, how I love the birds. An owl in an oak with a soft hoot. Geese flying overhead. They always sound like old people arguing. My own birds in their cages as they chatter along with the music from the radio and the sounds of the wind. Lovely. A train air horn at night. The giggle of a child. I will miss all of that. My ears constantly worsen year by year. More than that, every month. People don't seem to believe me when I tell them I'm going deaf. Perhaps my laugh is so large or my embrace so bear-like that such a thing doesn't seem possible. Sometimes I just pretend to hear people. The soft speakers, I'm an actor. At meetings I miss a lot, too much. Around the house, my wife startles me constantly. I don't hear her walking up behind me, and then she'll speak, loudly so I'll hear her, and I jump. Or I won't know she's there, and she'll close a closet door sharply. It's like having a ghost grab me. I'm moving into my mid-60s. This is only going to get worse, and the price of a decent hearing aid? Well, I am but a poor poet. Oh, sweet sounds. Waves lapping the rocks on the shore, thunder across the valley like a rocket launch, the whimper of a puppy, the sigh of a woman, sandpaper on wood. I will miss these things as I move into the silence. I'm going to finish with a group of small prose poems. which has been my focus for maybe the last 3 years or so. Not the only thing I write, but it's mostly what I write. And I got into them in an odd way. I was thinking of haiku, which I like the brevity of, and I like the natural views, the images in haiku. Then I love the little Zen twist, the little thought at the end. And it's 17 syllables, broken up as in 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. But it occurred to me one day, when that was set up, they were talking about Japanese. And 17 syllables in Japanese can be quite a different thing than 17 syllables in English. So I thought, well, maybe the syllables don't count that much. And maybe the line breaks don't matter that much either. So I started writing these as sentences. So they're kind of shortish prose poems with kind of a Zen angle to most of them and some nature images. And a lot of them are about here where I live, this area, Davis, California, Yolo County, California, the Sacramento Valley, the Pewter Creek watershed, the Sacramento River, greater watershed. A lot of those images are there. So I'm going to finish with a group of those. Let's meet in the field tonight. You walk in from one side and I'll walk in from the other. Come summer, the field will be filled with sunflowers or maybe tomatoes. Tonight, just you and me, joining hands. I love the dawn and the dusk, the starlight and the moonlight. I love the wind and I love the stillness. I love that which is, and I try to not desire that which isn't. Another day is here, and all I need to do is live it. The sound of drums. This journey is at an end. The elders have come to paint my face and to paint my body so that I'm not naked when I face the light. Now the people begin the chant, and now I take a few steps toward them. Now I'm letting go. A nice day like this, there should be a river to cross. There should be a mountain to climb, warm but not hot. There's a breeze, but I wouldn't call it windy. The air feels good and clean. And what do I have to do on this perfect day? That's a good question. I'll answer it right after my nap. In our hot, dry summer, people here long for the cool, wet winter. Come winter, the same people will call out for some sunshine. Friend, there is only the present moment. Enjoy it. Tomorrow might not come for you, or for me. Yesterday's rain, today's mud, tomorrow's grass. All is impermanence. Life is about change. Let me go back up here a little bit. This is the same concept, but it's not about place. We're not looking for I poems. Outside, the sky is the color of an old dime, and it's rather cool for May in California. Doves land on my patio and eat the birdseed that I left there for them. Every poem is an I poem. Every last one of them. No one seems to be here, but I can see footprints in the damp earth of this field. The field is not empty, it's full of life, and so is my valley, and so am I. How we do go on. All of life in a single blade of grass. A universe that is vast, yet green. Rooted in the rich soil of my valley. Life, a blade of grass, the universe, the Sacramento Valley. Tell me, friend, how sweet is it to be alive? And how sweet is this valley? Geese flying in a wide V, the blue sky without beginning or end, such grace and beauty. This virus does not have me yet. I tend words like a shepherd tends a flock of sheep. I seem to have been born for this work. For many years now, this flock has grown larger, healthy, and fat. Look now. See the morning sun on their thick fleece. And I'm going to finish with another one of these short poems, this one about COVID-19. The dead of COVID-19 visit you in dreams and ask you to remember them, to remember their names, their lives. Morning comes to you, and these dreams are forgotten. You awaken each day to a feeling of sadness, a dull emptiness. Nights come and go, and you are, in time, full of these forgotten dreams, forgotten names. And every day, the number of COVID-19 deaths grows. Every day. Well, that's the reading for May 15th, 2020. I'll be back next week. I will post the reading at 7:30 on Friday. Till then, be safe. You go outside, wear a mask, man. You go in anywhere, wear a mask. Carry some hand sanitizer. Wash your hands a lot. Be safe. Don't believe the administration. This thing is not going away anytime soon. Hang in there.